Golf is in no way a mellow sport. A lot goes on behind the scenes that are just as interesting as the game itself. Hint, the recent Live Golf vs PGA Tour rivalry. But speaking of the game, there are a few rising stars that we've had on our eyes for a very long time. And of them is, of course, none other than Scottie Scheffler. Let's see why we have him on our radar. To begin with, here's the crux of the story. Scottie Scheffler, better known as the world's #1, has been named the best PGA Tour player for the years 2021 and 2022. His rivals were Rory McIlroy and Cameron Smith. Now, don't get us wrong, all three players were excellent, but of course, Scheffler outperformed them all and deserved to win the award, at least if we have anything to say about it. He's received support from as many as a whopping 89% of PGA Tour members. After all, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan is pleased and believes Scheffler deserves this honor based on his performance. Undoubtedly, the endorsement of one's peers is one of the highest compliments a player can receive, and the fact that Scottie's season was both dominant and consistent spoke volumes to the membership, and to us as well. What's more, Scheffler has repeatedly demonstrated his support for the PGA Tour. Monahan appreciates his regular assistance and the example he sets on the golf courses. According to the commissioner, as rewarding as it has been to watch Scottie's progress on the course over the last few years, they are equally grateful that Scottie has embraced his role as the PGA Tour ambassador. If you don't get the importance of this, just imagine an ambassador of Coke drinking from a can of Pepsi in public, and you'll get the idea. That's not all. Coming up, there's more to the tale than what meets the eye. Our man defended the PGA Tour at a time when many golfers were deciding to join Live Golf, and it paid off. We all know what happened to those who decided to go with Live. Spoiler alert, it got really messy really fast. Scottie stated that the PGA Tour is the best place for him to play and that his ambition was to compete on a PGA Tour. He added that his dream was never to maximize his financial benefits. Now, we're no one to offer our 2 cents, but it's surely easy for you to say that, Scottie Scheffler. According to the world's #1, he feels very blessed and fortunate to be able to play golf and get paid for it, so he's not looking to do anything else. Scottie wants to keep up his good form and demonstrate that these awards are not a fluke, but the result of hard work and talent. Yeah, we can agree with him here. It surely takes immeasurable amounts of courage and determination to build a legacy like he has. Now, we need to address Scheffler's wealth. Let's take a look. Remember him saying that he didn't need to maximize his financial benefits? Well, there's definitely a reason for that. Scheffler won the Korn Ferry Tour Player of the Year award in 2019 and the Arnold Palmer Award as PGA Tour Rookie of the Year in 2020. He's the first player in history to win all 3 awards in the same season. The awards were created in 1990. There are a lot of numbers coming up, so try to keep up with the math. His $14,046,910 in official prize money was a PGA Tour record for a single season, previously held by fellow former Texas Longhorn Jordan Spieth in the year 2014 to 2015. In addition to his $5.75 million bonus for finishing second in the FedEx Cup standings, Scheffler received a whopping $4 million through the Comcast Business Tour Top 10 for finishing a regular season as the FedEx Cup leader, and another $1 million for winning the Aon Risk Reward Challenge. Scheffler earned a total of $24,796,910 this season from official money and bonus programmers. It's no wonder why Scheffler never considered alternatives to the PGA Tour. This is just easy money. It also makes us wonder why we never considered a career in professional golf. Coming up, here's why Scottie is referred to as the #1. Scheffler, the 26-year-old gentleman who possesses some silky moves in the world of golf, has won 4 times during the last season, and of course, he's been ranked #1 in the world since March, right before his victory at Augusta National. Now, while we're on the topic of Augusta National, rumor has it that Scottie Scheffler was so dominant during the tournament that he had the luxury of 4-putting the 72nd green to win by, get this, 3 strokes. The world has just witnessed this easygoing, smiling Texan, who was born in New Jersey, go from 0 to legend in 8 weeks with 4 impressive victories. It's a hasty decision, but it's a calculated one. Scheffler could be golf's king of the hill for the rest of this decade. And we can all agree on one thing: he has the length, iron game, and putting abilities to compete with anyone in golf. Lastly, let's see the 2 other players in nomination for Player of the Year. The PGA Tour announced the nominees for the 2021 to 22 PGA Tour Season Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year, as determined by the PGA Tour Player Directors and Player Advisory Council, aka the PAC. Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, and Cameron Smith were the nominees for the Jack Nicklaus Award as the 2022 PGA Tour Player of the Year. Let's just get one thing out of the way. We always rooted for Scheffler, there, and we had good reason. The PGA Tour members who competed in at least 15 official FedEx Cup events during the 2021-22 season were eligible to vote for Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year. So, who did you vote for? You can tell us, we won't judge. Next up, let's go over some other news that might interest you. First up, what's this about Scheffler being in an awkward spot? To begin with, Scottie Scheffler is a nice guy, and one that is truthful. But let's now discuss his injuries. The world's #1 was in a rut. Last month, he opened the Open Championship with rounds of 68, 68, and 69 before falling to a final round 74. He missed the cut at his next event, the FedEx St. Jude Championship, earlier this month before finishing tied for third at the BMW Championship last week. So you're probably wondering, what's going on? And here's Scottie and reporters after Thursday's Tour Championship first round. The reporter asked what allowed Scottie to bounce back from his missed cut, to which the player said that he was suffering from an injury. But he didn't stop there. Perhaps a bit too candidly, he went on to add details which we'll quote, probably TMI, but I had what's called a pilonidal infection. You can look it up. It was really hard for me to bend down. It was really hard for me to make a swing. Walking was actually extremely difficult. We have one word for this whole conundrum: yikes! Next on our news radar is the inside story of LIV Golf versus the PGA Tour. It was the week of the Genesis Invitational in February in Los Angeles. Riviera is a prestigious PGA Tour venue, and behind the scenes, two factions were preparing for war. The PGA Tour was frantically trying to secure its players' loyalty, and by extension, the Tour's future after becoming aware of the magnitude of the threat on its doorstep. On the other hand, LIV Golf was preparing an announcement that would serve as the first paragraph in a new chapter in the sport. The Breakaway League, funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, was on the brink of securing 24 players. But on the morning of round 1, former golf writer Alan Shipnuck posted an expert from his soon-to-be-released Phil Mickelson biography, openly discussing LIV's controversial Saudi backing, calling the Saudis scary. He further added that they have a horrible record on human rights. Of course, within hours, these quotes made international headlines, and LIV was now suddenly toxic. Players withdrew commitments left and right, and the PGA Tour took advantage of the situation to force the hand of some of its most prominent members. LIV was as good as the deceased. 6 months later, however, it's anything but dead. Lastly, let's talk about Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker quietly retired from the PGA Tour in April, not knowing whether it was due to the lingering effects of Lyme disease or mounting frustration. He simply knew he needed to get away from the remainder of the year, if not longer. Then, of course, came LIV Golf. Walker isn't sure he would have been interested in the Saudi riches if they had arrived at his door in San Antonio. He stood on the sidelines, unconcerned about anyone who chose to play in the rival league. What he didn't realize was that every player who signed up for LIV Golf and was suspended or resigned from the PGA Tour only benefited him. He was taken aback by a phone call on Labor Day. Cameron Smith and Mark Leishman were among the most recent to depart, allowing Walker to climb 9 spots to number 50 on the PGA's Tour career earnings list. This gave him a one-time exception for the new season, which begins on Thursday. We wish him all the best. That's a wrap. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Scottie and his growing legacy. Did he deserve the win? Hit like and click that subscribe button, and we'll be back with another video. Bye!